We've all been there.
Siri, what's the name of the guy I had a meeting with a couple of months ago at Cafe Grinnell?
You met Zach Wingate at Cafe Grinnell.
Zach!
Actor Bella Ramsey was bailed out by a new version of Apple's Siri that was meant to be available for all.
That feature still has not been released. It's originally supposed to come out April, May of 2025, but now it's on track for spring 2026.
Apple took down the ad and is facing a lawsuit over the delay. But the disconnect exposed a deeper issue. The company was losing ground in the AI race.
They totally missed the boat. There was indecision. There was lack of concern that this could become a real thing.
This is a story about how hard it can be to stay on top.
AI is something that wasn't in their DNA.
Continued failure doesn't just hurt Siri. It could threaten the iPhone's dominance.
The product line accounts for more than half of Apple's revenue.
So missteps with what's become its most noticeable missing features could be devastating.
AI has the ability to be a make or break moment for the company.
Apple has always been about good design and accessibility.
Historically tends to wait until the technology has been improved by others, then it will perfect it with its own design and some of its own features, and then it will show it to people. And it's done that really well.
They knocked it out of the park with multi-touch, the very core of the iPad. They completely destroyed the competition with their chips. But with AI, they seem pretty far away from really nailing the user experience and the core tech.
Nowhere is this more apparent than with Siri,
Its character in a play also starring Amazon's Alexa,
Google Assistant, and for a while there, Microsoft's Cortana. Poor Cortana. But here's the thing. Apple didn't create Siri. It bought it. Back in 2011, the little-known app gave Apple a head start.
There was really nothing like it on the market at the time.
What is the weather like today?
Here's the forecast for today.
People had been clamoring for some kind of assistance software, and it looked like they had something very cutting edge.
Now this race is far from over.
But its early lead didn't last. Within a few years, those other players hit the stage, and they felt far more advanced.
They came out with a product 4 years after Siri, but it quickly felt that they were 4 years ahead of Siri.
Again, Apple threw some money at this burgeoning AI problem. It poached one of Google's top AI executives, John Giannandrea.
He quickly took over Siri and all the AI initiatives. They brought everything under one roof, and at that point, people were very excited. Not only had Apple taken a prized AI mind from its biggest competitor at the time, but now they felt like they can push all their eggs into the AI basket.
Giannandrea's team tried building a lighter, faster Siri, but the project was ultimately scrapped. Meanwhile, rivals were racing ahead to develop large language models, a foundation of generative AI.
For Apple, things were about to go from bad to, "Hey Siri, what's a good word to finish this sentence?"
It's called ChatGPT,
the AI language tool that is fascinating and frightening people around the world.
It makes it almost like you're talking to a person.
ChatGPT changed really everything for the world, the industry.
People were experimenting with similar technology to what OpenAI was using, but they hadn't put it together in quite the same way and released it to consumers. Other companies quickly realized, hey, they've really caught on to something here, something that people seem to want.
Craig Federighi, Apple's software engineering chief, he realized this is a game changer. So him and other executives sat down, met with OpenAI, met with Anthropic to get a crash course on LLMs and models. And so Federighi immediately put the software engineering group to work to develop a new system-wide approach to AI.
It's showtime.
Everything converged at the Worldwide Developers Conference in June 2024, where the company revealed Apple Intelligence.
A personal intelligence system that makes your most personal products even more useful and delightful.
Came out and they showed all sorts of features that seemed impressive. One was for summarizing text.
Writing tools can rewrite, proofread, and summarize text for you.
Summarizing notifications. They created something called Genmojis, which basically allows you to type in some text and create any type of emoji based on the text input. They also came up with features like notification prioritization. And Apple called this AI for the rest of us.
We are introducing the industry milestone product, Macintosh.
It was a callback to when they introduced the Mac, and they call that the computer for the rest of us.
But Apple Intelligence was a dud out of the gate.
They announced the iPhone 16 that September, and they called it the first iPhone built from the ground up for Apple Intelligence. Truth was a little different. Apple Intelligence didn't launch until a month and a half after the iPhone 16. But the biggest drawback were the AI Siri features.
You know, the ones still missing from the phone.
Apple Intelligence is a huge black eye for Apple. It's one of the biggest issues the company has had in its history.
Investors have taken note.
AI shortcomings are one reason why Apple's share price has performed weakly this year among the so-called Magnificent Seven tech giants.
In a vacuum, the Siri features may not seem super important. The reality is that we're moving into an AI device ecosystem, a world of products driven by machine learning and artificial intelligence. Meta's working on this, Google's working on this, even Apple's former design chief, Johnny Ive, is working on this.
Apple has several projects to rescue Siri: a rebuilt engine, an AI web search tool, a refreshed visual interface, and a more conversational assistant.
They want to make Siri an always-on life co-pilot that can get things done on your behalf and is something you can trust.
The big element under discussion is how much the company will rely on an outside partner versus its foundation model's team. What the heck is a foundation model, you might ask? Good question. Essentially, it's a grand jack-of-all-trades software that powers an AI tool. OpenAI's GPT-5, for instance, is the foundation model you can throw anything at via the product ChatGPT. It's the engine of the family car. And for Apple, this technology could form the core of a new, more capable Siri.
Apple has talked with Google, with OpenAI, with Anthropic, about replacing their foundation models with the underpinnings from those third parties. If Apple's able to do that, you're looking at a really potentially great product. Marrying Apple's user interface design with the hot core technology, that would go a long way for consumers. Because consumers, for the most part, don't really understand or care, quite frankly, who made the AI technology, and Apple just wants to sell cool products.
What they're hitting up against here is, with generative AI, it's so expensive and so time-consuming and difficult to build this kind of thing yourself.
Ironically, some of the company's notable practices have hindered its own progress. First, spending. Despite having a lot of cash on hand, Apple doesn't do it lightly.
In the AI world, you're investing tens of billions of dollars a quarter, depending on what your company is, without even knowing if you're going to get a payoff. Apple doesn't invest large sums of money without knowing there's going to be a gigantic payoff.
This chart reflects the trend.
Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and Meta
are pouring billions into chips and data centers to power their AI models and support a business model of providing AI services to others. Apple's expenditures are far less, in part because it's only ever focused on building for itself.
With Apple Intelligence, powerful intelligence goes hand in hand with powerful privacy.
The company's stance on privacy also creates limits. It's championed on-device AI, processing much of your data locally to keep things private. But the iPhone's processing power only allows for simple features like summarizing an email. For more advanced requests, Apple turns to its own so-called private cloud compute servers, which use its own model and chips.
Or on occasion, ChatGPT.
Take a look at how many iPhones it sold, 3 billion. They could have had access to so much search data, how people are using their phones, what apps they're using, but they really haven't used a lot of that to do training.
That same caution extends to its product development.
When Apple wants to develop a product, it does its research and it sits down to build it, and it knows exactly what it's going to build and how it's going to get there. AI is more of a universe where you're figuring out things as you go along.
In the past, where you might release a new product or do a software update once a year, perhaps twice a year, this seems to be like a constant churn, and it's really hard to keep up, even if you are a large company with a ton of money.
On top of this all, competitors are trying to lure top talent in the field, much like Apple did a few years back.
Meta and OpenAI are throwing large sums of money at Apple's foundation models engineers to get them to jump ship. In one case, one leader of Apple's foundation models team, Meta offered him a pay package over several years worth well north of $200 million.
In tech, you might be paid a lot as an engineer, but that would tend to be in like the hundreds of thousands of dollars, perhaps. This is just pushing things into a whole new stratosphere.
Good morning. Welcome to Apple Park.
At the iPhone 17 launch event in September, Apple had little to say about AI.
Design has always been fundamental to who we are and what we do.
But behind closed doors, Cook has described the AI revolution as big or bigger as the internet and smartphones, and told staff succeeding is, quote, ours to grab. Alongside a new Siri, the company is developing a bunch of products to help it catch up.
We saw this for many decades. Nokia was at the very top of the phone industry. Apple came out with a much better mousetrap. BlackBerry was at the top of the industry. Apple came out with a better mousetrap. They are going to be in danger of the next Apple being created if they don't get their act together soon with some serious acquisitions, changes, and partnerships.